When you think of the weeks and days leading up to the MOASS, what do you think the biggest threat is? Right now, what do you think our biggest threat is? You might say FUD, you might say powers beyond our control, you might say us and people selling early. And those answers aren't wrong, but they all encompass something that gets pushed by the FUD, by the shills, preemptively, and that's negativity. Negativity is our biggest threat. And the shills and the FUD, they all know this. That's why all the little pieces you see them put out, the articles on the internet, the talking points on TV, the Weeble comments, you name it. If you pay attention to not necessarily what they're saying, but what they're designed to do, if you dig a little bit deeper and look at it, what is it meant to do? It's meant to stir your emotions. See, they know, if they haven't figured it out before, they definitely have now. They know they can't shake us from this play. We have been at this too long. We've proven our resolve by staying in the game this long through the highs and the lows. What they want to do is make us emotional. Emotion, more specifically, negativity, is the biggest threat to our success in this play. Negativity comes in many different factors. Now, we can all point out the obvious ones, Charles Gasparino and his ilk. They're obvious, we know that. But something we need to be more turned into is the subtle FUD, the whiny FUD. Everyone out there who claims to be an ape, but for some reason, all they do is bitch. I know you know what I'm talking about, because I know you've seen it before too. Probably the most prominent cases that I've seen recently, probably because they're the most effective, like I said, those social media analysts, those algorithm guys, those suits, they sit down and they figure out what type of FUD works the best, and then they start pushing it out more and more. It's the concept of when people are discussing floors or what their price targets are, and it goes against the shill narrative. You'll see people comment saying, let's get to X before we even talk about Y. And you see that over and over and over again. That is subtle FUD. That is negativity. There is nothing positive about that type of statement. We're all in this play. We all know how it's going to go, and we all have an idea of where it's going to land. Why would we not talk about where we want to end up? Because we haven't reached a fraction of that yet. That doesn't make any sense. And it's a way for them to psychologically beat us down and keep us from talking positive. Because remember, I know I've said this before, but I will continue to say it because it's important. It needs to be said and it needs to be repeated. They cannot make us sell. Only we can do that. Only we have the power to press the sell button. So anything they say that can get us to press it sooner is in their favor. And that's exactly what these types of comments are. The very subtle FUD. The people who come on to these forums and boards saying that they're fatigued. Convenient that these types of comments come out right after the media says that we're all fatigued. Believe me, I know what fatigued is, and this right here ain't it. I know you guys feel the same way too. Anyway, calling out the subtle FUD for what it is. It's the negative comments out there that seem innocent enough on the surface because it is painted in a light that you would see from most people in a casual conversation. But when you break it down, when you actually look at it for what it is, you realize that it is yet another seed of doubt. Because this play, as I've stated before, this play is a psychological operation. We're all part of this little game. You got the hedgies and the shorts on one end, and you got us on the other. A lot of older apes, people who were around for the Battle of 801, etc. You'll hear them throw around the word Zen. And rightfully so. Excuse me. They'll say things like, be Zen, find your Zen. Essentially what that means is you need to be calm, you need to be balanced, and you need to not have your emotions on the table. Because the greatest thing for the shorts, this is what they're banking on, the greatest thing for them is that when this kicks off, because it will kick off, but when it does, if you are at the heightened level of emotion, that is when you are the most compromised. That's when you are most likely to make a decision out of emotion. That decision being pressing the sell button. They don't, trust me, the FUD, the emotional attacks, all the subtle FUDs out there, all the people claiming to be apes when they're not, putting out the negativity, anyone who's not pushing a positive narrative, that's subtle FUD. And that is meant to get you in a negative mindset as much as possible before the MOASS kicks off. They know they can't shake all of us, but if they can get enough of us to be emotional before the MOASS kicks off, then there's a better chance of them surviving this. That's why they do it. So you need to find your Zen. You need to go work out, go out and get laid, play with the dog, smoke a blunt, do all four, I don't care. Whatever you need to do to get yourself grounded. Don't hyper-focus on the 1-minute charts if it's driving you insane. Go back and look at the 100K thesis, the 500K thesis. Whatever you need to anchor the conviction that you have, reevaluate it, touch up on it, and learn how to be Zen. Negativity is our biggest threat, and ultimately will be our downfall if we let it consume us. In a previous video, I mentioned being in training for this job that had a rigorous selection process. I won't forget this day. We were in the pool, and one of the individuals decided they were done. I mentioned before how when you were done, you went up and rang an air horn, which told that signal that you were out, you quit. So we were in the pool, and this individual got out and rang the air horn. Well, I didn't know the guy, but somebody else did. Apparently they were really good friends, and they were going to go through getting this job together. His friend, who was still in, got very pissed. He shouted, and he punched the water in front of him. The instructors were very quick to pounce on that and quell that, and let us know that that type of attitude, that knee-jerk, emotional, negative response, has no place in this field for us. That type of attitude is not tolerated. That's not what we do. There's a reason for that. Because we need to stay focused. We need to stay calm. We need to keep our eyes on the goals in front of us, regardless of whatever outside pressure gives us a negative emotional response. So I'll ask you, go find your Zen. Shut out the negative FUD. Call out the subtle FUD for what it is. If you want to talk about negativity, look up the definition of a short sale. And you'll see in there it says that it's extremely risky because there are unlimited losses to being a short seller. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm much more zen sitting in this position than I would be sitting in the shorts position. Stay positive. I'll see you all on the moon.